why they have such a big bone to pick. And I'm sure you've seen everything with Ray Fisher.
Yeah, I have.
And like, I remember like Snyder Cut made me emotional all different sorts of fucking directions. But like, I remember watching that movie because I've been following Ray Fisher's case pretty closely, and I just keep my chick informed on what's important. And I told her before the movie started, I was like, yeah, the reason why they purposefully cut down Cyborg's story is they didn't like him and they didn't like Ray Fisher. And because Jeff Johns and Joss Whedon, I think Tony Emmerich as well as Walter Hamada, or any combination of those names, they didn't want an angry black man at the center of their story.
That's what I heard. I heard about those comments.
And just watching them, like that alone, movie or no movie, that alone is fucking disgusting. Like that, yeah. Like that just disgusting as shit.
You see that more and more, with even with the world we live in. It's just the other day, it felt like such a big step in the right direction with Derek Chauvin getting convicted, but at the same time, it's only a very small step in what should have never happened.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot, I haven't seen that much, but I've seen enough to what's going on with the Ray Fisher thing. And you see stuff like that in the how are people in these positions of power that have these just such backwards mindsets? Because, from what we saw in Snyder Cut, Ray Fisher was the highlight of the movie.
He was exactly what Snyder had been saying for the past 3 years. He's the heart of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And he was everything that I wish he could have been in Joss Whedon's version. And what you obviously could tell that he could be. And it's nice to see him get a pedestal like that, and to see somebody like Dwayne Johnson getting such a big pedestal, being the main casting in Black Adam, which obviously is a black character, but it's like I said, it's a step in the right direction, and hopefully, I hope we end up get it. Or there's supposed to be a Cyborg movie, isn't there?
There was supposed to be, but they axed it because of everything that's been going on now, and they yanked him from the script. They yanked him in the script from The Flash, which is super disappointing. And it's just crazy to me because Warner Brothers parades around on this mantra of we're inclusive, we have diverse cast, yada yada yada. But then you look at what they did to Snyder Cut and what they allowed to happen, and you cut out a main black character, because I wouldn't argue that Cyborg's a side character. He's a main character in that movie. Like, he's a main player. So one of the main characters, you cut out pretty much his whole story. You cut out Ryan Choi, so now you're cutting out an Asian American's character. You cut out the whole storyline of the mom, the African American or the Asian American mom, who got the money from Cyborg. Remember that in the whole hologram scene where he goes like that and all the money piles up? You cut out all that.
The girl with Flash.
Iris West, thank you. You cut out Iris West, so another black character you cut out. So it's why are you doing this? And then part of Snyder's plan was to have an Atom movie that he would executive produce. So what are you doing here, really? And I just remember watching that movie, and yeah, if you really want to reduce somebody to such ugly terms, I'd say in the first half he's an angry black man, but that's the point. He had his life taken from him. I wonder if that's a theme if black people can relate to. Like, I'm sorry, but like, you're shitting me, right? Like, you're kidding me. We're watching the same. Okay, cool. And then, but by the end of the movie, the storytelling's fantastic, obviously, but the scene where the Flash reverses time, flies into Cyborg, boom, you finish the Flash's storyline, and you immediately jump into Cyborg's conclusion. They just like that. And he has that moment where he's ripping apart the mother boxes and he goes, I'm not broken and I'm not alone. I want to find these fucking people and just like sit them down and watch the movie with them. I'm like, we watched the same movie, right? Tell me you're not a racist. Like, you fuck.
I agree. And how can you see a performance, like the one Ray Fisher delivered? Because you can just, with the delivery of his lines and his scenes, you can feel him really just putting his emotion into these
everything.
Yes, and with obviously there's the motivation there because of the loss that Cyborg is going throughout the entire movie, through the first and second half of it. And it's like you said, we see all the time just black people and minorities in general get so many opportunities taken away from them and losing their lives over people who just don't understand. And more recently, I saw it. It was the same day of the Derek Chauvin verdict announcement. A girl in Columbus, Ohio, 15 years old, murdered by a cop because she had a knife trying to defend herself from other girls. And the kicker was she called the cop.
Yeah, that's a weird one because, like, I've been trying to... It's so hard today to figure out what story's the right one. Because I've heard that version of it where it was she was being attacked. She was trying to fend away the police with a knife, or not the police, trying to fend away the other two girls with a knife. And she was the one that called the cops. I heard another version of the story where she was the one attacking and a bystander called the cops, but someone else had already did, so they hung up because while they were on the phone with dispatch, police pulled up. Huh. And so police pulls up. They know someone's attacking with a knife. They see a knife and they shoot.
Right.
And I think that just speaks to like negligence on the part of mainstream media. Like, there shouldn't be two contradicting stories. And honestly, with stuff like this happening, I want to know who's leaking this body cam footage. Like, who's leaking the body cam footage and thinking you're doing anything good? Like, should there be transparency? 100%. But don't reveal the ugliest parts of the story before you know the back, like what's leading up to that. That doesn't seem right to me.
There's always sorry. There's always a loss of, like you said, transparency when stories like these come out. There's always so many different sides to stories. There's a side of the victim, there's a side of witnesses, just so many people, and all of these conflicting reports come together to form one big story that these media outlets are putting out, right, that are almost always inaccurate.
Yeah.
You're never going to get the full story. And we see a lot of that with, like I said, a lot of stories that come out, and sadly a lot of them being bad stories and stories about people getting killed or people getting robbed and people dying and whatever you may have. There's always we say there's always two sides to the story. I mean, we don't see that a lot anymore.
Yeah.
We only see what we hear in the media. We only see what we read on social media and what we hear on the news and however you get your news source. And that's where we lose a lot of the transparency.